A man can love deeply and still move cautiously, because love is emotion, but commitment is responsibility. This lady fell in love with Bhadman just days after they started chatting online, mainly because of his financial status. She had been quietly hoping for a rich man to come her way, so when Bhadman appeared, she welcomed him without hesitation. Their relationship started with hardly any real understanding between them, as they quickly became more focused on physical satisfaction than truly getting to know one another. When love is built on physical attraction instead of emotional connection, it's only a matter of time before it collapses. This is the perfect love story for the lady, as her main focus in a relationship is having a man who meets both her financial and sexual demands. When love is reduced to solving constant demands, it eventually breaks under the weight of expectations. The next morning, she walks into the room fresh from the shower and finds Bhadman still deeply asleep, lying peacefully on the bed. She quietly sits beside him, and as she gazes at his sleeping face, her mind drifts into a soft world of imagination, convinced she's truly lucky to call him hers. The very combination she thought was too good to be true, a wealthy man with looks to match, had landed in her life, as if the universe heard her wish word for word. She gets up from the bed slowly, her face glowing with quiet satisfaction, as she carefully puts on her dress, getting ready to leave, while the memory of the night still lingers. Bhadman lies deep in sleep, oblivious to the fact that the lady is already getting dressed and moments away from walking out the door. He had assumed she would spend the entire weekend at his place, unaware that her plans had quietly shifted without his knowledge. Fully dressed, she sits quietly on the edge of the bed, still lost in her thoughts, wrapped in the feeling of fulfillment his presence has brought into her life. She leans in gently, softly nudging him awake, then whispers that she's about to leave. He quickly pulls her back into his arms, his touch tender but firm, silently showing that he's not ready to let her walk away just yet. The lady tells him that her change of plan is out of her control, then gently kisses his forehead before leaving. Having a wealthy boyfriend eases the burdens a woman carries, as she finds comfort in knowing he would never let her struggle. As she approaches the house, she sees her elder brother Smart, seated outside with a hardened expression. He immediately calls out to her just as she's about to step inside. Smart is visibly displeased with the hour his sister is returning home. She explains that she spent the night at Bhadman's place, and Smart's expression instantly shifts from anger to deep disappointment. He had repeatedly warned her not to visit Bhadman or continue the relationship, insisting they barely knew each other, and that he sensed there was no genuine love involved. He believes Bhadman is only drawn to her physically, and has no intention of true commitment, which is why he hasn't revealed his true identity or shared any meaningful personal information. Despite her brother's concerns, she remains unconvinced, clinging to the belief that their love is real and choosing to trust her heart over his warnings. It's hard for her to believe that Bhadman, the man she thought was a blessing from above, might not feel the same depth of love she feels for him. Love can make a woman give a man credit he hasn't earned, just because she sees the good in him. Smart suggests she pull a fake pregnancy prank on Bhadman, but she immediately bursts into a mocking laugh, her expression clearly dismissing the idea as ridiculous. She tells Smart confidently that she can vouch for the love they share, firmly believing that Bhadman would never abandon her even if she went through with the prank. Smart shoves her aside in anger, staying rooted in his seat, boiling with frustration over her refusal to listen and her stubborn determination. A woman in love may trust blindly, but a brother sees through what she chooses to ignore. Two days later, she steps into Bhadman's house and is greeted by the sight of him lounging on the couch, a subtle smile on his face as she moves to sit on his laps. He holds her tightly, smiling as he tells her how glad he is to have her around, only to be met with a cold expression as she stands to move away from his body. The lady had spent time reflecting on her brother's words and eventually made up her mind to put Bhadman's love to the test. Bhadman is visibly confused by her sudden change in behavior. He looks at her with concern and pleads for her to open up. He gently reminds her of his unwavering love and reassures her that she can always feel safe sharing her worries with him. She slowly begins to open up to Bhadman, her voice hesitant as she reveals that she missed her period and suspects she might be pregnant with his child. The moment Bhadman hears the word pregnant, he abruptly pulls away from her, his expression shifting from concern to shock and discomfort. His face tightens with unease as he recoils slightly, unable to mask the shock and disapproval stirred by her revelation. Realizing Bhadman's reaction was one of rejection, the lady quickly reminds him of the love she believed they share. She pleads with him to let her keep the baby, hoping they can start a family together since they're both in love. Bhadman quickly tells the lady that he has no intention of getting married. He then yells at her in frustration, blaming her for getting pregnant when she could have washed it off. She sits in crushing disappointment, finally accepting that Bhadman never genuinely loved her or saw a future with her. A test she believed Bhadman would easily pass has revealed that love never existed in the place she once thought was overflowing with it. She stands in frustration, stunned by her recent discovery, her legs too heavy to lift under the crushing weight of disappointment. It dawns on her that she's been in the wrong relationship, and as she makes to leave the house, Bhadman quickly stops her. While he has no interest in building a family with her, he still can't bring himself to let her go. Captivated by her physical beauty, he gently pulls her onto his lap and in a calm tone, tells her there's a secret he's ready to share with her. The lady remains calm, hoping to hear something that would confirm his love for her, but is suddenly hit with the shocking news that he is a sickle cell carrier. He had kept the information from her all along, and she had never taken the time to ask about his health history before committing to the relationship. When you fall in love without asking questions, you might just fall into a trap beautifully decorated as love. He pleads with the lady to terminate the pregnancy, insisting the child would likely inherit the sickle cell trait as well. He softens her heart with his words, gently assuring her that he'll be by her side throughout the process of terminating the pregnancy. Knowing she's not actually pregnant, the lady agrees to go along with the abortion, desperate to keep the relationship, as she too isn't ready to let Bhadman go. When you choose love over wisdom, the heart writes a check the soul may not be able to cash. Love itself sees clearly. It's the lovers who wear the blindfolds.
VJ Rex Fashions presents The Power of Style, tailored to define greatness, built for leaders, dreamers, and men of purpose. Style like a Senator, dress like royalty, only at VJ Rex Fashions.
That same day, Smart sits outside enjoying a can of beer when his sister walks in with a gloomy expression and quietly settles beside him. She looks at Smart, her voice low and uncertain, and tells him she's deeply worried and needs his advice. He urges her to speak quickly, and she starts by confessing that she just got back from Bhadman's house, revealing she went to pretend she was pregnant as a prank. The mention of the prank immediately grabs Smart's attention, only for him to find out that Bhadman failed as he predicted. He angrily reminds her of his earlier warnings about Bhadman, stressing that he's always known the guy was never truly in love with her. The saddest part of love is not when it ends, but when you realize it was never real to begin with. Smart asks her if Bhadman gave any solid reason why she shouldn't keep the baby, and with a weak trembling voice, she reveals that Bhadman is a sickle cell carrier. Smart is thrown off balance by the revelation, knowing full well that his sister had never mentioned anything about Bhadman's health before now. He struggles to digest the fact that his sister, an AS carrier, blindly entered a relationship without first confirming her partner's genotype. In a world where love should ask questions, she chose silence, and now the answers have come uninvited. A heart in love may beat fast, but it should still pause long enough to ask the right questions. Smart calmly explains to his sister that as an AS carrier, her relationship with Bhadman has no future, reminding her that medical advice strongly warns against marrying another sickle cell carrier. He takes the opportunity to assert his authority, declaring without hesitation that, as her elder brother, he's putting an end to her relationship with Bhadman right away. He tells her plainly that he doesn't want a handicapped child in their lineage, and firmly warns her not to ever set foot in Bhadman's house again before asking her to leave his presence. Love may know no boundaries, but with wisdom, you must know which one should never be crossed. 3 days later, the lady sits on her bed, lost in thought, questioning whether she made the right decision by staying away from Bhadman. She had stopped answering his calls and avoided going to his house, all in an attempt to forget him, but the struggle to let go still lingers heavily in her heart. She fell for Bhadman because of his looks and wealth, so letting go feels nearly impossible, especially when the very traits that captured her heart still play vividly in her mind. She resolves within herself to defy her brother's warning and visit Bhadman, determined to reignite their love, regardless of the health barriers standing in their way. She arrives at Bhadman's house with a heavy heart, her face clouded with sorrow as she slowly makes her way toward him. He pulls her onto his lap, hoping to reignite the romance between them, but she refuses to respond, rejecting his advances, and walks away. Bhadman immediately stands and follows her, confused and unsettled by her distant behavior toward him. The lady who had come to see Bhadman with the intention of reigniting their love suddenly finds her heart shifting, her mind no longer set on the reunion she once desired. Even with the clear medical barrier between them, Bhadman still appears shocked to hear the lady's decision to walk away from the relationship. He uses every word he can muster to sway her decision, insisting that they can still be together and build a life, just without bringing a child into it. The lady is deeply upset by Bhadman's suggestion, realizing that he only wants to keep her around to satisfy his sexual desires, with no real intention of securing a future with her. She comes to the painful realization that he's subtly asking her to give up the possibility of ever having children for the sake of their relationship. She rises to her feet and firmly tells him she's done with the relationship, but as she turns to leave, he quickly steps in and stops her. Despite all the undeniable truths pointing to the end of their love story, Bhadman still clings to the hope that they can somehow manage the situation and stay together. He physically blocks the door, refusing to let her leave his house unless she agrees to continue the relationship with him. The lady remains firm in her decision, insisting that he let her go. In a moment of rage, he shoves her toward the couch, striking her head against its edge, and in that instant, her life slips away. Bhadman just committed a crime known as murder. This is a lesson to everyone. Genotype compatibility is not just medical advice, it's a life-saving truth. Love without wisdom is a dangerous path. Emotions should never replace important conversations. A relationship built on physical attraction rarely stands the test of reality. Family warnings are not always interference. There's sometimes protection. Thank you for watching this video. Please share this video and comment where you are watching from.